She called the cops and shouted, "Arrest her now, she's trespassing." The woman standing in the driveway froze for a second, clutching the grocery bags in her hands. Her name was Denise, a black woman in her mid-30s. Just getting home after a long shift. She looked at the uniformed men stepping out of the squad car, their eyes darting between her and the furious lady pointing fingers. The angry neighbor, Karen, was already waving a stack of papers like they were holy law. "She doesn't belong here, she's breaking HOA rules. Get her out before she causes trouble." Denise's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. She watched carefully as the officers approached. Karen kept ranting, her voice getting louder. "She's been parking in the wrong spot, using the community pool after hours. And now she's threatening me." One officer glanced at Denise and muttered, "Ma'am, do you have any ID?" Karen smirked, folding her arms, like the scene was already in her control. "Good luck, she probably doesn't even live here legally. I've already reported her before, but nobody listened. Now you have to do something." Denise placed the grocery bags on the hood of her car, her hands steady, calm. Almost too calm. She opened her wallet slowly, her eyes never leaving the officers, and slid her badge forward. For the first time, she spoke, her voice low but sharp enough to cut through the air. "You're standing on my property," she said. Then, letting the silence stretch, she added, "And I'm the county sheriff." The officers froze. Karen blinked, the fake confidence draining from her face. The quiet moment felt heavier than all her shouting. Denise tilted her head slightly, her eyes narrowing. "Now." She paused, letting Karen feel the weight of every word. "Who exactly are you trying to arrest tonight?" The cops looked at each other, unsure, and for the first time, Karen's voice cracked. She's lying. That can't be real." But the badge gleamed under the porch light, and Denise's calm stare said otherwise. Karen's face turned red as the silence dragged on, but she quickly tried to regain control. "This is a scam," she snapped, jabbing her finger toward Denise. "She bought that badge online, check it. I'm the HOA president, and I have the right to remove trespassers from this community." The officers shifted uncomfortably. One cleared his throat, "Ma'am, being HOA president doesn't give you arrest powers." His tone was cautious, but his eyes were glued to Denise's badge. It wasn't just real, it was issued by the very department he worked under. Denise didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "You called law enforcement to my doorstep over parking." She took one slow step closer to Karen, who instinctively backed away. "And then you accused me of threatening you in front of witnesses." Karen's smirk cracked, but she still tried to push back. "You're abusing your position. You can't just intimidate residents with abuse." Denise cut her off, her voice low but sharp. "You filed false reports. You put fake violation notices on my door. And now you brought officers here with lies to humiliate me in front of my own neighbors." One of the cops finally spoke up, his tone firmer now. "Karen, do you have proof of these violations?" Karen's eyes darted left and right. "Of course I do, it's all in the HOA records. I sent letters." She threatened to tow cars. Denise folded her arms, watching with a cold calmness. "Interesting. Because I've been documenting every single one of your little rules, including the fake notice you taped to my door last week. It's all on video." The cops looked at each other again. Karen's confidence was slipping fast. But before anyone could say more, a man from across the street shouted, "We've had enough of her lies." Other neighbors started stepping outside, whispering, recording with their phones. The night was no longer in Karen's control. Karen spun around when she heard the voices, her arms flailing as if she could silence the whole street. "Don't listen to them. They're just troublemakers." But it was too late. Phones were out, cameras rolling, and whispers turned into bold words. "She told me I couldn't fly the American flag," one man shouted, holding his phone high. "She tried to fine me for having my mother visit overnight." a woman added, her voice trembling with anger. Another neighbor raised her voice. She even called animal control on my kid's puppy. Said it wasn't community approved. The crowd grew bolder, and Karen's fake authority shrank with every accusation. Her eyes darted from face to face, searching for someone, anyone, to defend her. No one did. Denise stood still, watching the scene unfold. She hadn't lifted a finger, yet Karen was unraveling on her own. The officer's attention shifted from Denise to Karen now. Their expressions tightening. Karen's voice cracked, "This is harassment. I'm the president of this HOA. You can't gang up on me like this." Denise finally broke her silence, stepping forward just enough to make Karen stumble back. "You wanted the spotlight," she said calmly. "And now the truth's coming out." One officer sighed, pulling out his radio. The other crossed his arms, eyes narrowing on Karen. "Ma'am, if there are false reports involved, that's a criminal offense." Karen's jaw dropped. She opened her mouth to argue. But before she could, Denise added one last line, her voice carrying through the quiet crowd. "You called the cops to arrest me. But it looks like you just called them on yourself." The neighbors erupted in murmurs, some even clapping, while Karen stood frozen, pale as stone. Karen's panic twisted into rage, and she tried one last desperate move. She snatched the stack of papers from under her arm and shoved them into one officer's chest. "Look. Right here. She's in violation of at least 10 HOA rules. Unauthorized parking, late dues, disturbance of peace, read it." The officer flipped through the documents, his brow furrowing deeper with each page. The papers weren't official forms at all. They looked like something typed up at home, full of red stamps that didn't belong to any government office. The crowd booed, but Karen doubled down. "She doesn't belong here. I'm protecting this community from criminals like her." Denise's calm cracked for the first time, not with fear, but with controlled fire. She stepped forward and pointed at the papers. "Those are fake. And you know what else?" She turned toward the officers, her voice tightening. "She had my car towed last month, even though it was parked in my own driveway." Gasps rippled through the crowd. A man muttered, "I remember that tow truck." Another neighbor added, "She laughed when it happened." Karen's face flushed, but she tried to cover it with a sneer. Her car blocked the neighborhood view. "That's against the HOA standards." Denise's voice cut through like a blade. "My 8-year-old daughter was standing in the driveway, crying, when strangers hauled our car away. That's what she calls standards." The crowd turned, furious now, not just curious. Some shouted, some cursed. The officers' expressions darkened. This wasn't an HOA dispute anymore. One officer muttered, almost to himself, "That's a legal seizure of property." Karen stumbled back, her voice breaking. No, I was following the rules. I was following the rules." But the tide had already turned. The crowd was buzzing, phones recording every second, but Denise wasn't done. She reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a small remote. With a click, the big screen on her porch lit up, showing crystal clear security footage. The video rolled, Karen sneaking up late at night, taping fake violation notices to Denise's door. Another clip showed her on the phone, smirking as a tow truck hooked Denise's car, while her little girl cried in the background. The crowd gasped, the evidence undeniable. Denise let the footage play for everyone to see. Then she turned to the officers, her voice steady and sharp. "This isn't just harassment. This is fraud, impersonation of authority, and illegal towing. And I'm filing charges." One officer nodded grimly and stepped toward Karen. "Ma'am, you need to come with us." Karen's face twisted in shock. "What? No. I'm the victim here. You can't arrest me, I run this community." She tried to pull away, but the handcuffs clicked shut. The crowd erupted, some cheering, others clapping, all of them finally free of her grip. Denise's daughter peeked out from the doorway, and Denise's eyes softened. She bent down, hugged her tight, and whispered, "It's over, baby. We're safe now." As the patrol car pulled away with Karen inside, the neighbors turned to Denise, their voices full of gratitude. One man said what everyone was thinking. "We didn't know we had the sheriff living right here." Denise gave a small smile, looking out across the street where the flag waved under the porch light. "I didn't fight for this county," she said, her voice carrying strong and proud, "just to be told I can't live free in my own home." The neighbors stood taller that night, knowing the balance of power had shifted for good.